The actual reason you never see old tractors on mega farms now. Old tractors didn't make farming easier. They made work longer. That's the hidden cost of mega farming. When the lights came on, the day stretched past the horizon, and the machines had to keep pace. Inside this episode, a technical autopsy of obsolescence. We contrast hand-tuned carburetors and local genius with software-locked diagnostics and continuous duty cycles. You'll see why vintage iron thrives on small acreage but disappears where downtime is a six-figure problem. No myths, no fluff, just the real mechanics of scale. Under headlamps, the field stopped obeying the sun. A switch, a starter, a steady fuel pump, those parts reset the workday's clock. If old tractors were simpler, why did the job grow longer instead of shorter? Because light didn't save time. It opened time. Dark became usable. Usable became expected. On small acres, chores once paused with the horizon. With lights, dusk turned into runway. Steel that had cooled by supper now ran through midnight. You could feed a baler past sundown, run a pump through fog, and turn soil under a sky that never warned you to quit. The farm's beat shifted from roosters and shadows to the timed click of a key and the hum of a generator. Work stretched, not by accident, but by design. Against that promise of hours stands the reality of cold-soaked iron. A crank, a choke, thick oil clinging to journals. A farmall that will start, but not quickly, argues with morning frost. Meanwhile, a modern schedule running 10,000 acres assumes the engine fires, the hydraulics hold, and the tractor pulls through the night without personality. The calendar no longer forgives a missed hour. It punishes it. A mid-century operator knows the ritual. Too much choke, flooded carburetor. Pull the plugs, dry the chambers, coax the spark. Hay lies ready, moisture just inside target. A gust lines up clouds on the ridge. Every lost hour narrows the harvest window, turns hay from bright to bleached, from saleable to nearly feed-only. The machine's quirks aren't quaint under that sky. They are a tax paid in silence. Lighting and PTO muscle did raise what a single unit could push. A mower swath widens. A baler runs steadier, teeth biting evenly because the driveline doesn't stumble. Traction improves with better rubber and weight, so more power reaches the tool. The hidden cost lands elsewhere. Once your machine can work into the night, the schedule expects it will. That is a duty cycle, not a convenience. Bearings heat longer, fluids shear longer. The operator rests later. Throughput goes up, and so does the number of hours the machine must endure without complaint. The farm becomes an assembly line stretched across fields. Tractor lights move like street lamps on rails, advancing the line inch by inch. Each pass adds units, not minutes. That rhythm rewards consistency and punishes interruption. It feels industrial because it is. Weather windows do not negotiate. Soil needs to release moisture to a narrow band. Seed needs contact before a cold snap. Hay needs curing time that conflicts with the next rain. Logistics tighten the vise. Trucks queue at the end rows. Dryers set to moisture targets. Dealers promise parts within a service window. In that lash-up, a delay ripples across miles. A broken belt isn't a workshop inconvenience. It is a missed train. Once the clock stops bowing to sunset, it demands larger lungs. More horsepower, because implements widened and draft loads climbed. Stronger hydraulics, because downforce, lift, and folding geometry became the arms of the system. Tires with deeper carcasses, because weight and torque need footprint, not just traction. The prime mover's bones had to thicken to carry the new appetite for hours. Old tractors did not fail the land. They spoke a different time. When work was a day's bracket, not a 24-hour pulse, their rhythm made sense. But when the schedule stretched past darkness and refused to stop for quirks, the clock forced evolution. Machines had to breathe deeper, pump harder, and hold pressure longer. simplicity lost to stamina. This is the hinge. Night work didn't merely add a few passes. It multiplied the penalty for stopping. In a compressed planting window, an hour becomes a unit of yield. In hay season, a missed evening becomes a downgraded lot. That pressure does not care about nostalgia or patina or the elegance of a magneto. It cares about motion. But the real secret lies in what happens when that single lost hour doesn't just spoil a windrow. It erases 5 figures from the ledger. At peak season, the value of an hour grows teeth. The question isn't sentimental. What is the exact point where vintage iron becomes a liability? On a 10,000-acre schedule, the threshold is set by acres per hour, not the sticker on the hood. When the planting and harvest windows narrow, the machine must clear ground at specification or the ledger bleeds. Across that span of land, time compresses. A planter must move continuously. A combine must feed nonstop. Field speed, implement width, and fuel burn translate into one non-negotiable metric: uptime. A modern prime mover hooks to wide implements and holds 7 miles per hour without drifting off target. It pulls long hours at steady loads because the drivetrain, hydraulics, and cooling package were built for brute strength. The result is acreage covered hour after hour until the window closes. Now the tension. A $400 repair on a 1940s tractor looks harmless. A modern unit priced at $300,000 looks brutal. Yet the cheaper tractor can be unaffordable when it cannot deliver acreage on schedule. The repair bill is not the cost center. The pause in motion is. When the field sits, revenue quietly evaporates while interest, labor, and logistics remain. Numbers bring the shape into focus. A high-capacity tractor pulling a 60-foot planter at 7 miles per hour can clear roughly 252 acres in 10 hours. Extend the workday and the tally climbs. An older tractor tethered to a 12-foot toolbar at 4 miles per hour may touch a fraction of that, closer to a long afternoon on a single block. The gulf isn't cosmetic. It sets the number of hours required to finish before the weather flips. Fuel efficiency, travel time, and headland turns matter, but the headline is working width multiplied by speed, kept alive by uptime. The cost of delay sits behind it all. Every day past the ideal planting date ships yield. The research points to loss measured in real money. Tens of thousands of dollars per day when you scale across a large operation. That is a conservative range, but it's enough. Miss 3 days, and you have a 5-figure dent that doesn't heal when you finally roll. Another thing that doesn't give a dent is subscribing to the channel. Doing that will mean a lot to us. Now back to the video. Amortization answers the sticker shock. A new machine spreads its payment across thousands of acres. Each pass carries a little of the note, a little of the interest, but the machine pays its way because it moves wide tools at speed within the window. The old unit can't scale in the same way. Hitch categories cap implement size. Hydraulics limit lift, downforce, and fold complexity. Duty cycles top out before the clock does. You can maintain it perfectly and still lose to physics. Take a clean case. A planter sits for 3 days in the first run of a narrow window. The field waits, the forecast tightens. Yield slips across those days. Multiply the loss by acreage queued behind that planter, and the number easily outstrips a monthly finance payment on a high-capacity prime mover that would have kept the lash-up moving. The math is blunt. The finance office cares about throughput, not nostalgia. Even the best wrenching cannot stretch a torque curve. Older engines deliver their power through narrower bands. Hydraulics move fewer gallons under pressure. Category 1 and 2 hitches handle smaller, lighter tools. Cat 3 and 4 frames, heavier drawbars, and larger pumps unlock the big widths. Those are bones and arteries, not preferences. They define what the tractor can lift, pull, and hold, hour after hour under heat. So the threshold becomes visible. The real cost lives inside a single hour during peak work. If one breakdown erases the same money as a payment on a high-capacity machine, nostalgia vanishes. The farm doesn't disdain old steel. The schedule does. The behemoth that can hold speed with a wide bar and push clean hydraulics through a long night is the one that wins. Attention shifted to the anatomy of the machines themselves. What vintage iron preserves in repairability, it surrenders in throughput and integration. The next question lives in wires, pumps, and control logic. Across scattered barns and gravel drives lived a quiet network, the solitary genius. He kept older steel breathing with carb kits, magnetos, and hand-milled bushings. He read wear patterns the way a surveyor reads grade. He could true a shaft with a torch and a straight edge, shim a governor by feel, and nurse fuel through a tired pump. He was more than just a mechanic. He was a local repository of methods, a steward of continuity when budgets ran thin and time ran long. His workshop looked small but worked large. A vise, a drill press, a shelf of gasket paper, coffee tins of jets, springs, and odd thread pitches. He turned obstacles into parts and parts into hours. A farmer rolled in with a skip in second gear, left with a repaired linkage and money still in his pocket. The economy fit the acreage. Cash was scarce. Ingenuity filled the gap. The machine's heart beat because capable hands kept its arteries clear. Then came the fleets with software at their core. Modern tractors run telematics that stream health data, CAN bus harnesses that tie sensors to control units, and ECUs locked behind authorized logins. Repairs route through dealer portals and service queues, not just wrenches and a meter. The machine remains a prime mover, but its nerves carry code. Diagnostics speak in fault trees and firmware, not just heat, spark, and compression. The fix moves from bench to laptop, from torch to license key. The contrast is stark in the field. A 1940s Farmall arrives on a trailer with a weak spark and a coughing carburetor. The local genius swaps points, cleans a jet, sets float height, and dresses a worn tab in the shift linkage. Gaskets cut, fluids topped, it idles steady by Sunday dinner. The same week, a Tier 4 engine throws a code. The machine protects itself, asks for a software handshake, and waits for dealer tools to clear the fault and reflash the control map. The work pauses until the calendar and the service truck align. Behind these scenes lives two parts pipelines. For vintage machines, salvage yards, clubs, and machine shops that remake what no longer ships. You trade time and craft for availability. For modern fleets, OEM channels, centralized warehouses, and scheduled service windows. You trade money and planning for guaranteed fit and traceability. Both systems function, but they serve different tempos. One thrives on adaptability, the other enforces order. Evidence arrives by wire. Predictive maintenance and remote diagnostics flag bearing heat early, catch pressure drops before they turn into metal shavings, and steer technicians to the right harness. Catastrophic failures decline. Downtime slots into calendars. The upside is fewer surprise autopsies. The downside is standardization. Work happens on the machine's schedule as the manufacturer defines it. Serial, software version, service interval, so the operator becomes a node in a controlled loop. Incentives split along acreage. Small operators prize low cash burn, parts they can source on a Tuesday, and flexibility to swap roles mid-harvest. They accept slower throughput because the ledger can't carry payments that demand every hour produce revenue. Mega farms prize uptime, telemetry that feeds logistics, and integration that lets a manager see fuel, acres, and alerts in one pane. They pay to keep motion continuous and visibility total. The friction of scale sits in the doorway. Can a one-bay shop with a single lift and a phone full of favors service a fleet that must run past midnight for 7 straight days if the weather window opens? Will a hand-turned bushing save a schedule when 5 combines, 3 prime movers, and a dryer line all feed the same clock? The mini payoff is plain. The local genius sustains a parallel economy that holds small ecosystems together. He extends duty cycles, stretches budgets, and keeps iron in motion without a purchase order. But under industrial uptime, that parallel economy dissolves. The schedule demands certified parts, predictable diagnostics, and service capacity measured in crews, not favors. The story warns how quickly capability becomes capacity. Now we look inside the prime mover's bones.